All right. Let's talk about a night that was absolutely electric. A night that shook the land down under to its core. We are talking about WWE Crown Jewel 2025. Coming to you live not from Saudi Arabia, but for the first time ever, from Perth, Western Australia. The RAC arena was packed to the rafters with fans who were absolutely losing their minds, and for good reason. This wasn't just another premium live event, this was a statement. The WWE brought one of its biggest shows of the year to a country that lives and breathes sports entertainment, and the energy was simply off the charts. You could feel it through the screen, a tangible buzz that promised something special was about to happen. From the moment the show kicked off, you knew this was a big deal. The opening video package was narrated by none other than Australia's own Mammy, Rhea Ripley, which sent the hometown crowd into an immediate frenzy. It set the tone perfectly. This night was for Australia. While the fans showed their true colors by booing the US national anthem, they sang their own with a passion that could give you goosebumps. It was a beautiful, raw, and real moment. This event was different. No regular championships were on the line. Instead, we had special men's and women's Crown Jewel titles up for grabs, making the matches feel like high stakes, one-off dream encounters. The entire production felt massive. The stage, the lights, the pyrotechnics, everything was cranked up to 11. You could tell that the WWE wanted to make a massive impression with this international spectacle, and they absolutely succeeded. The show was filled with video packages celebrating Australian culture and tourism, and yes, there were plenty of plugs for Prime and Cricket 5G, which is just part of the game these days, you know? But none of that took away from the central theme. This was a celebration of professional wrestling on a global stage, and Perth was the heart of the wrestling world for one unforgettable night. What made this show feel so monumental, even before the first bell rang, was the card itself. We had a main event years in the making between Seth freaking Rollins and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. We had an Australian street fight with the colossal Bronson Reed taking on the seemingly unbeatable Roman Reigns. And of course, we had the match that everyone was talking about, the one that felt like the end of an era. John Cena, on his farewell tour, stepping into the ring one last time against the phenomenal AJ Styles. This was more than just a wrestling show. It was a piece of history happening right before our eyes. Kicking off the in-ring action was an absolute slobber knocker, a match that had hometown hero written all over it. We had the colossal Bronson Reed, a proud Aussie, taking on the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, in an Australian street fight. This was a rematch from their battle in Paris, where Roman had scraped by with a win. But this time, things were different. This was Reed's home turf, and the Perth crowd was behind him like you wouldn't believe. The rules were thrown out the window, and these two behemoths went to war all over the arena, using anything and everything they could get their hands on. It was pure, unadulterated chaos, and it was beautiful. The match quickly spilled outside the ring and into the crowd, which is exactly what you want from a street fight. These guys were brawling among the fans, making it feel like a real gritty fight. They used garbage cans, they used a cricket bat, a true Aussie touch, and they even used a bottle of Prime as a weapon, which was a pretty hilarious moment. The action was non-stop. At one point, the Usos tried to interfere to help their tribal chief, as they always do, but their plan completely backfired. This time, their interference led to one of the biggest shocks of the year, a moment that had the entire arena jumping out of their seats. The turning point came when Jey Uso, aiming for Bronson Reed, completely missed his target and accidentally speared Roman Reigns right through a table set up in the corner. The crowd exploded. You could see the look of pure horror on Jey's face as he realized what he had done. Roman was laid out, completely stunned by the betrayal from his own blood. This was the opening Bronson Reed had been waiting for. He saw his moment, seized the opportunity, and dragged Roman's lifeless body back into the center of the ring. The crowd was chanting his name, urging him on, knowing that history was within reach. With Roman Reigns down and out, Bronson Reed climbed to the top rope. The weight of the moment, the energy of his home country, it all seemed to be fueling him. He soared through the air and came crashing down with his devastating finisher. The tsunami splash. The impact was massive. The referee slid in, counted 1, 2, 3. Bronson Reed had done it. He had pinned Roman Reigns. The arena erupted in one of the loudest pops I've ever heard. Reed became only the second man in years to pin Roman, and he did it in his home country. It was an incredible feel-good moment that started the night on a massive high. Next up, the energy in the Rack Arena somehow managed to get even higher, which I didn't think was possible. Why? Because it was time for Australia's own, the Eradicator, Mammy Rhea Ripley, to make her entrance. The roar from the crowd was absolutely deafening. It was pure, unadulterated love for their hometown champion. She teamed up with the incredible genius of the Sky, Io Sky, to take on one of the greatest tag teams in modern history, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. The Kabuki Warriors made a spectacular entrance themselves, wearing these unbelievably cool, intricate masks that made them look like true warriors ready for battle. This was a clash of titans, and it did not disappoint. The match started with the Kabuki Warriors showing why they are such a dominant force. They used their incredible chemistry and lightning-fast offense to isolate Io Sky, cutting the ring in half and keeping her away from her powerhouse partner. Asuka and Kairi were relentless, hitting combination moves and quick tags that kept Io completely off balance. For a long stretch of the match, it looked like Rhea might not even get a chance to get involved. The crowd was getting anxious, trying to rally behind Io, clapping and stomping to give her the energy she needed to fight back and make the tag to Mammy. Finally, after absorbing a ton of punishment, Io Sky saw an opening. She ducked a kick from Asuka, slid through Kairi's legs, and made a desperate dive to a corner. The hot tag to Rhea Ripley was made, and the place went absolutely ballistic. Rhea exploded into the ring like a cannonball, a one-woman wrecking crew taking down both Asuka and Kairi with clotheslines, big boots, and raw power. The match descended into beautiful chaos, with all 4 women hitting their signature moves. It was a whirlwind of action, with near falls that had the crowd on the edge of their seats with every single count. The finish was a thing of beauty, a perfect combination of teamwork and sacrifice. In a crucial moment, Kairi Sane shoved Asuka out of the way, taking the full force of a devastating move meant for her partner. It was a noble sacrifice, but it sealed their fate. Rhea Ripley capitalized immediately, hoisting Kairi up onto her shoulders and hitting a massive riptide, a move that looks like it could break someone in half. Before Kairi could even recover, Io Sky was already on the top rope. She flew through the air and connected with her picture-perfect over-the-moonsault for the decisive pinfall. Rhea and Io got the win, and the Australian crowd celebrated like their team had just won the World Cup. After the high-energy tag team match, it was time to crown the first ever Women's Crown Jewel champion. This wasn't for an existing WWE title, but for a brand new, prestigious championship trophy and ring, making it a unique and special contest. In one corner, we had the First Lady of Buffness, the incredibly athletic and charismatic Tiffany Stratton. In the other corner, we had the fierce and aggressive Stephanie Vaquer, a competitor known for her hard-hitting technical style. This was a classic clash of styles. The flashy, high-flying offense of Stratton against the grounded, submission-based attack of Vaquer. The stakes were high, as both women wanted to make history. From the opening bell, Stephanie Vaquer went on the attack, showing a relentless aggression that seemed to catch Tiffany Stratton by surprise. Vaquer immediately targeted Stratton's knee, trying to take away her opponent's powerful base and ground her high-flying arsenal. She was methodical and vicious, locking in submission holds and delivering stiff kicks to the injured limb. Stratton, to her credit, showed incredible toughness. She fought through the pain, using her strength and agility to create separation and fire back with some impressive offense of her own, including a powerful suplex backbreaker that momentarily stopped Vaquer's momentum. The match was a physical, back-and-forth affair. Tiffany Stratton managed to hit some of her signature moves, including a beautiful cartwheel Alabama slam that showcased her incredible athleticism and had the crowd buzzing. It looked like she might be able to overcome the early damage to her knee and pull out the victory. However, Vaquer was just too focused and too determined. Every time Stratton started to build momentum, Vaquer would go right back to attacking the knee, cutting her off and re-establishing control of the match. It was a smart, veteran strategy that paid off in a huge way. The end came when Vaquer finally wore Stratton down completely. After another brutal series of attacks on the knee, she created the opening she needed. With Stratton struggling to stand, Vaquer ascended to the top rope. She took a moment to compose herself before launching into a breathtaking corkscrew moonsault splash, a move that was as beautiful as it was impactful. She landed perfectly, and the referee's hand hit the mat for the 3 count. Stephanie Vaquer had won. She was the inaugural Women's Crown Jewel champion. In a great moment after the match, Triple H himself came down to the ring to present her with the championship belt and ring, cementing her place in the history books. And then, it was time. Time for the match that had posters, billboards, and conversations buzzing for weeks. It was time for a moment that felt both incredibly exciting and, honestly, deeply bittersweet. This was a cornerstone of John Cena's farewell tour, a series of final matches against his greatest rivals. And on this night, in Perth, Australia, it was the face that runs the place, John Cena, versus the phenomenal AJ Styles, for what was billed as the very last time. The atmosphere in the RAC arena changed. It became heavier, more significant. Every single person in that building knew they were about to witness the end of a legendary chapter in WWE history. The entrances alone were worth the price of admission. AJ Styles came out first, looking as sharp as ever, wearing gear that was a cool throwback to his days in TNA, a nod that longtime wrestling fans definitely appreciated. But then, the trumpet fanfare hit. The time is now. The roof nearly blew off the building. John Cena sprinted down the ramp, a blur of neon green and orange, feeding off the incredible energy of the fans. The noise was absolutely deafening. It was a hero's welcome for a man who has given his entire adult life to this business. Before the bell even rang, you could see the emotion on his face. This wasn't just another match for him. This was special. This match, which went for a solid 30 minutes, was a masterpiece of fan service in the best possible way. It wasn't just a match between Cena and Styles. It was a tribute to their entire careers and the legendary rivalries they've had along the way. They didn't just use their own moves. They dug deep into the playbooks of their most famous opponents. AJ Styles hit Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin music, Samoa Joe's Coquina Clutch, and even Christopher Daniels' Angel's Wings. It was a history lesson in the career of one of the best to ever do it, and it was absolutely incredible to watch him pull out these iconic moves. John Cena, not to be outdone, gave as good as he got. He reached into his own bag of tricks and pulled out moves we haven't seen from him in years, or ever. He locked in Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho. He hit Randy Orton's signature rope-hung DDT and a shocking RKO out of nowhere. He even paid tribute to his legendary rivals The Miz with a skull-crushing finale, and The Undertaker with a thunderous chokeslam. It was a greatest hits compilation happening live, a spectacular celebration of 2 iconic careers colliding one final epic time. The crowd was hanging on every single move, living and dying with every near fall. Beyond the incredible moves and the nostalgic callbacks, what made the Cena vs. Styles match so unforgettable was the raw emotion that poured out of the ring and into the stands. There was a moment during the match that really transcended wrestling. The Perth crowd, in a beautiful, unprompted tribute, began singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands," the theme song of the late, great Bray Wyatt. The singing grew louder and louder, filling the entire arena as thousands of fans held up their phone flashlights, creating a sea of fireflies. It was a moment of pure, heartfelt remembrance for a beloved figure we lost way too soon. You could see the tribute visibly moved John Cena. He paused in the middle of the ring, his eyes welling up as he took in the sight and sound. It was a powerful reminder of the bond that Bray Wyatt had with the WWE Universe, and the impact he had on his peers. Cena, who had a deep and storied rivalry with Wyatt, seemed to channel that emotion. Shortly after the tribute, he paid his own respect in the most fitting way he knew how. He set AJ Styles up, and delivered a chillingly perfect Sister Abigail, Bray Wyatt's own finishing move. It was a beautiful, heartbreaking, and powerful tribute that added another layer of emotional depth to an already historic match. This entire contest felt like a love letter to the fans who have followed these two superstars for decades. Every move they borrowed, from Styles using Bullet Club references to Cena using Rusev's accolade, was a wink and a nod to the journey. It was a match designed to make you remember, to make you feel. The Undertaker himself even took to social media after the match to praise what these two men had accomplished in the ring, which is about the highest praise you can possibly get in this business. It really felt like the entire wrestling world was watching and appreciating this final chapter. The finish of the match was just as epic as the journey to get there. After trading finisher after finisher, with both men kicking out of each other's attitude adjustments and styles clashes, Cena knew he had to dig deeper than ever before. In a stunning tribute to The Undertaker, he hoisted AJ Styles up and dropped him with a tombstone piledriver. The crowd just lost its collective mind. But that wasn't enough. Cena then lifted a dazed Styles onto his shoulders one last time and hit the most emphatic attitude adjustment of his career for the 1, 2, 3. Cena won, but in the end, the result felt secondary to the experience of watching two legends create one final masterpiece together. After the emotional rollercoaster of Cena and Styles, it was time for the main event of the evening. This was a match built on years of history, a bitter rivalry between two men at the absolute top of their game, the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freakin' Rollins, and the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. They were competing for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship, but honestly, this was about more than a trophy. Cody came into this match with a perfect 3-0 singles record against Rollins, a fact that had clearly been eating away at Seth. This was Rollins' chance for redemption, his opportunity to finally get a win over the man who had his number. The entrances set the stage perfectly for this epic encounter. Cody Rhodes made his grand entrance, the crowd singing along to every word of Kingdom, a true superstar of the people. But Seth Rollins' entrance was something else entirely. He came out with a chip on his shoulder, a desperate energy about him. He didn't have Paul Heyman with him this time. This was a man on an island, driven by the need to prove he could beat Cody Rhodes on his own. The pre-match stare-down was intense, with both men looking like they were ready to go to war to settle their score once and for all. The match itself was a technical clinic, honestly the best pure wrestling match of the night. Seth Rollins was brilliant, focusing his attack on Cody's leg with surgical precision. He was trying to ground the American Nightmare to take away his ability to hit the Cody Cutter and the Crossroads. Rollins was also playing mind games, taunting Cody with a Stardust cartwheel, and even using a bionic elbow, a move made famous by Cody's father, the legendary Dusty Rhodes. It was a deeply personal and psychological attack, with Rollins trying to get inside Cody's head and break him down mentally as well as physically. Cody Rhodes, however, is all heart. He fought back with everything he had, selling the leg injury beautifully while still managing to hit his signature offense. The match was filled with incredible sequences and counters. At one point, Rollins hit a spectacular coast-to-coast diving headbutt that looked absolutely amazing. Later, Cody went for a springboard move, but Rollins caught him in mid-air and turned it into a devastating powerbomb. They even stole each other's finishes, with Cody hitting a pedigree and Rollins hitting a Crossroads, each leading to dramatic near falls that had the audience just gasping. The action was fast-paced, intelligent, and absolutely captivating from start to finish. As the main event between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes reached its fever pitch, the intensity was at an all-time high. Both men had thrown everything they had at each other, but neither was willing to stay down. It felt like the match could go either way, a true testament to the skill and resilience of these two elite competitors. They were exhausted, battered, and bruised, but their will to win was pushing them forward. The crowd was on its feet, completely engrossed in the story unfolding in the ring. They were witnessing a modern-day classic, the culmination of a long and heated rivalry. The turning point of the match came, as it so often does in big fights, with a moment of chaos. As Cody Rhodes was setting up for a final decisive move, the referee was inadvertently knocked down and taken out of the action. With no official to enforce the rules, the match descended into a grey area. This was the moment Seth Rollins had been waiting for, the opportunity he needed to finally get the upper hand on his rival. His desperation for a victory, his need to finally exorcise the demon of his 0-3 record against Cody, pushed him to do something he might not have otherwise done. Rollins saw his opening and took it. He reached for the very watch that Cody Rhodes had gifted him as a sign of respect months earlier. In a shocking act of betrayal, Rollins used the watch as a weapon, smashing it against Cody's head. It was a dirty, underhanded tactic, a complete rejection of the sportsmanship that watch was supposed to represent. The crowd booed loudly, stunned by Rollins' actions. He had abandoned his honor for the sake of victory. This single, decisive blow was enough to daze the American nightmare and leave him vulnerable for the final nail in the coffin. With Cody stumbling and disoriented, Rollins didn't waste a second. He dragged his opponent into position and instead of his usual stomp, he climbed to the second rope. He then launched himself forward, delivering a devastating super stomp that drove Cody's head directly into the mat. Rollins covered him as a new referee slid into the ring, counting the pinfall 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins had finally done it. He had beaten Cody Rhodes. It wasn't clean, it wasn't honorable, but it was a victory nonetheless. Rollins was crowned the Men's Crown Jewel champion, standing tall as the show went off the air, a complex and conflicted king on his new throne. When the smoke cleared and the final pyrotechnics faded into the Australian night sky, one thing was crystal clear. WWE Crown Jewel 2025 in Perth was an absolutely unforgettable event. This was more than just a successful show, it was a home run. From a business perspective, taking the Crown Jewel brand outside of Saudi Arabia for the first time and delivering it to the passionate fans in Australia was a brilliant move. It made the event feel fresh, exciting, and globally significant. The Perth crowd brought an energy that was just infectious, making every single match feel like the main event of WrestleMania. They were loud, they were passionate, and they made the show special. Looking back at the night, two matches stand head and shoulders above the rest, but for very different reasons. The main event between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes was, without a doubt, the technical match of the night. It was a masterclass in storytelling, psychology, and in-ring action. The controversial finish, with Rollins using the gifted watch as a weapon, adds a fantastic new layer to their rivalry and leaves fans wondering what will happen next. It was the kind of wrestling match that purists dream of, a high-stakes chess match between two of the best in the world that delivered on every level. But the heart and soul of the night belonged to John Cena and AJ Styles. Their match was pure, unadulterated sports entertainment magic. It was a nostalgia trip, an emotional tribute, and a final epic battle all rolled into one. The fan service moments, the crowd's tribute to Bray Wyatt, and the sheer spectacle of seeing these two legends share a ring. One last time created a memory that will last a lifetime. It was the perfect centerpiece for Cena's farewell tour, and a reminder of why we all fell in love with this crazy business in the first place. It was a match that made you feel something, and you can't ask for more than that. Ultimately, Crown Jewel 2025 will be remembered for its incredible moments. It will be remembered for Bronson Reed's historic hometown victory over Roman Reigns. It will be remembered for Rhea Ripley's thunderous ovation and dominant performance. And most of all, it will be remembered as the night Perth hosted the end of an era with Cena and Styles. The WWE took a chance by bringing this event to a new continent, and it paid off in spectacular fashion. For one night, Perth was the capital of the wrestling world, and they, along with the WWE, gave us a show that will be talked about for years to come. What a night. Just absolutely incredible.